Full disclosure, this is a rumor. These sources are typically very reliable. Numerous members of our community have also confirmed these as reliable, but just in case they're not, I wanted to get that out of the way. So, let's begin. This comes from the recent Bar Assistant event that was held in Hong Kong. So this is where they go, they have a big talk, informal meet and greet, they discuss things. They're pretty cool. If you ever can get around to going to one, you definitely should. But we're going to go over this stuff, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm also going to give you my take on it. Squadron 42 being removed from the store is not an indicator of anything remotely imminent regarding Squadron 42 releasing. There wasn't a denial of anything Squadron 42 coming out, like previews or some kind of early access vertical slice, but it was clear that they are not expecting it to come out this year. Well, no crap. I don't think anybody's shocked by that. Squadron 42 is, and I'm sorry if you're looking forward to it, I'm not going to dog on you, but for me as a PU player, it's the eternal tumor and thorn in the side of the PU. I was hoping something would be changing. I was hoping we'd get something out of it, but oh well, we're not. CIG is really excited to see how Starfield performed, and I don't see any real issue with quote-unquote competition. We all know how Starfield is going to perform. It's going to be a better Squadron 42. It's going to mop the floor with Squadron 42, and it's going to beat Squadron 42 to being Squadron 42. I don't like Bethesda games. Haven't liked them since Morrowind, but I'm not going to deny that this game is going to be a hit. It's going to be huge. My only hope from this is that it lights a fire at CIG that makes them think, hey, we got to do something. We've got to get out. We got to get our product out here. We got to focus on what makes our game more, and what makes our game more unique, which is, well, in my opinion, the PU. There's no multiplayer component with Starfield, and that's what CIG has to hone in onto. They've already lost. They've already lost the Starfield. It's over. They lost. Focus on what they can do. And that's the PU. 3.2 wipe will likely happen only if there have been fixes to the duplication mechanics that have been plaguing the game. Wiping without removing the dupe bugs is pointless in their opinion, but they will wipe whenever they feel like it's appropriate. They prefer to get away from wipes in general, unless there's a reason for them. I totally support this. If you were just to wipe it without fixing the issues, you're only going to punish the legitimate players. The players who did not want to do duping, who did not know about duping, they're going to be the ones that hurt the most from this. Because the guys who know how to dupe, they're going to go right back to it. So, this is one of those few occasions where I totally support CIG in wiping or not wiping. CIG is aware of most duping bugs and are trying to squash them. CIG was also aware of some salvage bugs. But the staff that heard about the quote-unquote infinite salvage bug with a single reclaimer were unaware of that specific bug. This is unfortunate, but unsurprising. I've always had a suspicion that CIG, a lot of their developers, don't actually play the game. They're not too in tune with it. This doesn't really confirm it, but again, I'm not shocked with this one. Hull C coming out will give them a lot of good information on how bigger ships will impact the server performance in the game, but there is a low likelihood of any big ships coming out after 3.2 this year. I'm not shocked. Again, that seems to be the mantra here, right, is I'm not shocked, but I was hoping that we'd be getting something with the Idris, perhaps, because there was the 3.19 interior of the Idris that you can now see in the PU. I was hoping that was a precursor to something, but it's unfortunate, unsurprising, but unfortunate and disappointing. One day I'll be able to pilot my Idris M and launch railguns into the hangars as an Aurora MR tries to get out. However, there was a statement made in passing about, quote-unquote, wishing to see something big like the Pioneer coming out this year. And the comment was made, quote-unquote, you really should come to CitizenCon this year. I think you'd be happy. For those who don't know, the Pioneer is a construction ship. It's meant to build on planets and stuff like that using prefabricated parts. Considering there's no support for that in the game currently in any way, shape, or form that I'm even aware of, I don't think we're getting anything related to the Pioneer anytime soon. But hey, I could be wrong. I hope I am. I think it'd be pretty fun to build some bases. Each dev has their own favorite manufacturer ship type, but the only Dracophile there was Todd Pappy. Aaron Roberts loves the Tally, quote-unquote, for reasons that will become very clear when Squadron comes out. Yeah, I mean, Drake ships suck, right? They're made by players, they're made by developers, rather, who probably don't like them or even, care about them. And it shows. The Cutlass engines get shut off, the Buccaneer engine gets shut off, the Corsair sucks. I mean, the Vulture and the Cutter are good, but these ships are in no way really competitive for high-end PvE or PvP. Oh well. Ship designs are going to follow quote-unquote old and new styles from the same manufacturer. As such, ships like the MISC Freelancer, old MISC, will likely not see an upgrade to the aesthetic of the Hull A, new MISC. Yeah, this is being done just to streamline and cut down on work and probably give them an excuse not to do a true gold standard pass. Yeah, I mean, that stinks, right? I would like to see some of these older ships brought up in line with the newer designs. But this is understandable. I wouldn't expect them to take an old ship from 2015, 2016 and upgrade it to 2022, 2023 standards. AI crew blades for simple tasks like mining and salvage will likely not be in the game until there is more stability, otherwise the higher server loads will end up negating their ability to do basic tasks, i.e. when all the AI in the server just freezes in place. Yeah, I mean, they can't avoid standing on chairs right now. They can't even walk around a station without bumping into things or getting stuck. Yeah, man, you know, I know bros, you want your crew, you want your blades. It's not happening anytime soon. I wish it would. Trust me, I would love to see blades. I think blades would, hell, AI crew as well. Those two things would increase the variety of ships you see in the PU, so you'd actually see more crewed hammerheads, more crewed gunships, and you'd see something other than single-seat ships, but, oh well, gotta wait. The Reclaimer's elevator is unique and is the only type in the game. So whenever there are updates to elevators in the game, it tends to break the Reclaimer's elevator. They know it's a problem, and they know the other problems with the Reclaimer, but they can only do so much while they're also changing aspects of the game. You know, Team A is working on the Reclaimer, Team B is working on the elevators. One doesn't change about the other one, and we get the mess with the Reclaimer's elevator. It just shows, I think, what most of us know is that there's a little bit of a disconnect between the teams, or that what they're trying to do is just an unnecessary challenge, a completely unnecessary challenge. Still love the Reclaimer, though. Salvage mechanics for breaking bigger pieces into smaller pieces are still being thought up, and haven't been pushed past concept ideas. In addition, only ships that have been created with the physicalized component systems can be soft-deathed and have their components removed. Older ships that don't have the ability to remove the components manually don't actually have the physical component integrated into the ship. Just a placeholder quote-unquote skin. Boy, this one's big. Salvage bros out there, as fun as it is to power wash the side of a ship, I think all of us want to break apart, munch, and create, you know, better salvage. We want more to it than just doing the power washing and the scraping mechanic. But according to this, I don't think we're going to get it anytime soon. And think about all the old ships that are in the game. This game's got ships going back to, like I said, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Those definitely don't have the integrated components. Whew. Well, I hope they can figure something out, because I don't want to just be doing hull scraping for the next 3 or 4 years. AI systems like ChatGPT won't be used to supplement things in the game because of proprietary reasons. Oh well. I mean, boo-hoo. When base building comes into the game, it will be something more akin to Fallout 4's prefab house system. Not something where you can create a base building panel by panel. Base building is very important to CIG because they want to have people creating bases and whatnot. But it won't be coming out until likely around Nyx. Pyro was asked about for base building, and the response was a resounding quote-unquote nope. Well, there's really, supposedly, lore-wise, nothing to build in Pyro. I don't think it's going to be limited, right, to not being able to build in Pyro. You'll probably be able to build anywhere, I'd imagine. But Pyro is a huge step that we've been hearing about for years. Nyx is so far off. If we've been waiting on Pyro for 3 or 4 years, we might be waiting on Nyx for like 3 or 4 decades, is how I look at it. But base building sounds great. I said about that earlier. I would love to take the boys down to a planet, you know, make an enclave compound, load it up with some stuff, have a base of operations, keep our ships there, keep our weapons and equipment. Sounds like a lot of fun. It's a total dream come true. But, man, oh well, you can hope and dream. And Star Citizen, hope and dreams. Different systems, when they come out, will have different themes, and CIG will expect that the way each system looks and acts will reflect both the theme of the system as well as when it was created. The expectation is that Stanton will feel, quote-unquote, old and safe, compared to the, quote-unquote, harsh and dangerous Pyro, while Nyx will be more, quote-unquote, off-the-grid homesteader themed, which implies heavily that base building will be seen when Nyx comes out. Now this makes sense. This again, in my mind, this makes sense. If they really want to go for that militia style, off-the-grid, away from the Empire feel, then Nyx is the one to do it. Pyro, being harsh and dangerous, if you don't know, that's like the outlaw capital for people that are separate from the UEE. So that's where your pirates are coming from, that's where Xeno threats are coming from, that's where they're all kind of basing themselves out of and are jumping over to Stanton for their incursions. So from a lore standpoint, this all makes sense. And that's why, going back with this, Nick's off-the-grid homesteader building bases, so why would I see anything about the Pioneer this year? It just doesn't pan out. Pyro still needs server meshing, as has been said in many videos. Yeah. Smaller side missions will be given at some point once there's more stability and meshing. Don't know what this means. I guess this could be going to those derelict sites and doing things. Going down to planets, maybe? And interacting with NPCs, similar to the Eckhart mission. I got no idea what this could mean. What they mean by a server. I don't know. Don't know. Eventually, UGF missions could have multiple parts, including where you need to first destroy air assets before going into a bunker underground and secure stuff. But with also reinforcements coming to try and relieve your colleagues. No time frame on implementation now. This is what I would love. As somebody who, and UGF for those who don't know, stands for underground facility, like bunkers. As somebody who would love the idea of being a ground citizen, it just needs more than going into a bunker and shooting. I do. I want to infiltrate, you know, I want to sneak in, and I want to snipe guards, or I want to use brute force, and I want to bomb the area and then land in and take the guys down in there and, you know, take over the bunker. I want options. I want more ways to do it. Sneaky, brute force, mixture of the two. This would be great, and it would actually give you a reason to airdrop or drive up those tanks and just start, you know, just start blasting. Hope this comes sooner than later. Art aesthetics for different cities, especially human cities, are inspired by their in-game lore, with a lot of the tie-ins to sections of current-day Earth. HK was specifically mentioned, HK being Hong Kong, was specifically mentioned for making Area 18 and Loreville alleyways and advertisements. However, as alien lore and aesthetics get built out, we'll see some amazing alien architecture. That's cool. Don't really have an opinion on this one. When asked about why they don't release specific systems and allow people to navigate either by a menu or a loading screen, the response was simply, quote-unquote, that's not how we want to do it. We want to get the server meshing thing figured out so we can start rolling in new systems. When follow-up asked about, quote-unquote, how many systems, the response was, quote-unquote, well, we want to have Pyro and Nix in as soon as possible, but we haven't built too much of other systems yet. I agree with this. I gotta tell you, man, I don't want to see load screens. I don't want to. I am a believer. I'm pretty critical of a lot of things, but I really want to believe that they can nail this and have seamless transition from Stanton to Pyro to Nix, where you fly those, you know, those wormholes or those warp gates and you go there. That's what I want to see. I don't want them to cheap out. I hope they don't cheap out. I think that a major selling point of this game is that living, breathing universe. And you can get that. I think they can get that. I really do. Land beacons that are owned can be sold in-game, or the land that the beacon claimed can be sold. But players are not able to quote-unquote claim land themselves and sell it quote-unquote officially to others, as the only type of land claims that are recognized come from governing authorities, i.e. the UEE. Okay, I like this. If you've ever played a game like Final Fantasy XIV, there are land barons, and they will hoover up either with bots or just having a ton of already established in-game masters. They'll buy up the land, they'll mark it up, and they'll sell it. Makes it impossible for people to get things. I'm glad that this game's not going to have that problem. This is good. This is good. You should be happy about this one. There will not be, quote-unquote, player ownership of stations and games. Players and groups can, quote-unquote, control stations if they have people on them and block people from entering them, but the idea of owning them, i.e., POS owning an EVE, won't happen. Another great thing. I think that we can all agree, well, I think a lot of us, I should say, can agree, that having too many features from EVE would overall be bad from this game. I have never liked outfit, guild, organization, clan, whatever you want to call it, ownership of things in game. Because at that, you get a power struggle and the owner controls everything, they have a monopoly, and the game just dies. I like control. This is good. I like the idea of my org controlling a station and people coming and kicking us out, and then another org controls it, and then we have to come and kick them out, and over again. This is good. I like this. This is very good. The less hardcore EVE mechanics in Star Citizen, the better. Player housing and ownership will absolutely be a thing. but it's expected to be instanced and like quote-unquote owning an apartment. But because of server instancing and meshing, you could have any number of people actually owning quote-unquote flat 23B in a hab tower. Players will also be able to own multiple housing units around the verse. This is another great change. This is totally solid. This is fantastic. Because, again, going back to the Final Fantasy XIV reference above that I mentioned earlier, is if you want something you really like this one property, if you weren't there to get it first, your only chance of getting it is if the guy who owns it dies or quits playing the game. And a lot of times they quit playing the game, they will simply resub just to keep paying for their property, which means you could never get the cool stuff. This is good too. Well done on UCNG. This is one of the very few instances of instancing that I would support and agree with. TOW assets aren't coming into Arena Commander, and TOW is being worked on, but not with a large team. There's a group that is testing different game modes when they're doing work on it. One feature from TOW team that the AC update has is the ability to spawn into other people's ships. But TOW maps and assets aren't being put into AC. Impression from other conversations later was that TOW is being worked on, but the priority focus is on the gameplay aspects. TOW is two theaters of war. Does anybody care about Battlefield Light and Star Citizen? Does anybody really care? Is that a priority for anybody here? If it is, this is probably unfortunate for you. I couldn't care less about theaters of war, and to a lesser extent, I'm not big on Arena Commander either. Oh well. 600i rework is still being considered, but it's not in the tracker because it's taken a backseat to many other things. Yeah, I mean, I own both variants of the 600i. It's a cool ship. I was looking forward to the rework, but I'm not too upset about this. I definitely expect people who love that ship and own it, though, to be very disappointed because they were definitely looking forward to those changes coming up to it. There was a long and complicated discussion about the economy and the effect of the Hull C on the economy. But the gist of it is that certain ships are considered as quote-unquote haulers, while others are considered as quote-unquote delivery ships. Ones that are able to land are quote-unquote delivery, while quote-unquote haulers carry stuff from one station to another and have an interstellar capability. Todd Pappy did state that he didn't particularly see the Hull C as interstellar, which is a bit weird, but the long and short of it was that they don't really have a prediction on how the Hull C will affect the economy yet. Most of the conversation was focused around players and moving things between Pyro and Stanton. Nothing was really said about the Hull C's effect on things when it comes into 3.20. Well, you can't have an impact on the economy when the economy doesn't exist. This is something I'm going to take issue with. It doesn't matter. The Hull C doesn't matter. Until we get an economy, we don't know what's going to actually happen. We have nothing to gauge it off of. There's no economy here in the first place. I'm glad the Hull C's coming. I'm happy for the owners of the Hull C to be getting it. But this just says nothing. Just another ship. To make more money, but for what? CIG realizes what a mess the quote-unquote updated Cutlass price debacle was, and double pinky swear that anytime there will be a price increase on existing ships, it will be advertised well beforehand on Spectrum. Well, thank you, because that really upset a lot of people. Myself, didn't bother me too much. I already owned the Cutlass, but I know a lot of people out there who wanted it for CCU chaining or just maybe saving up money to get it. We're pretty upset about this. FPS sliding and additional animations will be a thing. No ETA given yet. Woohoo, I can't wait to slide around like in Fortnite. Passenger transport missions will come after freight transport missions. And then, well, maybe we'll get the Genesis Starliner, right? That'd be great. Quanta isn't seen as virtual economy gameplay, more NPC focus and adjusting shop prices in-game. Well, I haven't heard from Tony Z in forever. Sometimes I forget Quanta even exists. Blah, 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 blah. Persistent hangars are slated to come out when the next iteration of cargo systems comes into the game. Cool. More blah, blah, blah. AI blades aren't really being worked on right now, but NPC crew stuff with quote-unquote wingman commands are being tested, but no idea when we will have implementation. Well, that seems cool, I guess. NPC wingman. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. Give me a whole fleet of NPCs that I can control and have them crash into each other, I guess, because that's about all the AI is good for in this game currently. So, that is the information from the Bar Citizen in Hong Kong 2023. So pretty good stuff there. I believe it. I believe a lot of this stuff. This is pretty factual. Our own members confirmed that these are the things that were discussed. So if I want to summarize everything here, a lot of good stuff, a whole lot of, yeah, no crap information, some disappointments with things like the 600i, some eye rolling with the talk of the Pioneer, a lot of eye rolling with talk about AI and AI control, because come on, they stand on chairs still to this day. But overall, I'm feeling pretty positive. I'm feeling pretty positive about Star Citizen in 2023 and 2024. I mean that.